Okay, my friends, this is a video coming to you from Cartagena, Spain in the center, specifically for reps. What I want you to be thinking about is your career. There are 4 different levels of selling that you need to understand are different levels of skill, different types of companies, and different types of roles that you need to go in and master throughout your career. The first in entry-level sales is always going to be and should always be transactional selling, either almost at a consumer level where you're closing deals per day, or you're not closing deals, you're in an SDR job where you are adding pipeline per day. But your job is to finish your close every single week. You're having deals that close. And again, if you're pipeline generating, because you're an SDR, that's adding pipeline every single week, if not every single day. If you're closing deals, then theirs are small deal sizes, less than 10K, and you're closing them on a daily or weekly basis. That is the entry-level sales. The advantage of that is you're going to go get some confidence. You're going to go and see that you've got the ability to talk on the fly. You've got the ability to overcome objections. You've got the ability to kind of inspire people to make decisions that should be quick. However, the downside to that, if you just stay there, or if you take a job where you had already kind of moved up one level into mid-market, which we'll talk about in just a second, then you go back, maybe another company will pay you more, but you go back into transactional sales, it blocks you and makes you look like you're not going to be, that you can't successfully sell into the mid-market. So in the mid-market, what you're now working on is you're working on deals instead of closing daily or weekly, you now have deals closing every month. Average deal size tends to be somewhere in kind of the $10,000 to $45,000 range. Inside of those deals, though, you're expected to have between 20 and 40 deals at all times that you're actively working in your pipeline. This is where most companies would want to go in and hire you after 2 or so years experience being an incredible SDR or an SDR plus highly transactional deals to go in and start your career here. It's a wonderful place to kind of go in and see, can you work on deals where companies need to go in and see over multiple meetings with multiple decision makers, are you the right person to go in and buy from? It's the next level for you to move into. After that, it's what I call a senior account executive, where it's transitioning into early stage enterprise. These deals, now you're going to be working with larger companies, average deal size still less than $250,000, somewhere in the range of 50 all the way to $250,000. Deals now are still closing, and they should be. You should have smaller deals that are entry into the accounts, closing every single month. But you're now really focused on a quarterly quota. You often will have one deal that will hit more than half of your quota. Your quotas are now in the 150K minimum up to 250K a quarter that you're responsible for. And at this point, you're now learning how to do enterprise deals. Almost always multiple decision makers, almost always a more complicated contract process, purchase order process. Your ability to navigate with C-level starts to become important. You're also working with more complex organizations where your ability to understand the politics within that company almost become as valuable as anything else that you can go in and sell, because you need to be able to navigate inside of that organization. Once you've mastered that, you're also now, it's the first roles where being in the field can start to matter even more. Being out there and in front of the customer, not just virtual sales. Navigating and using internal resources starts to become more and more important as well, because then the next job that you move into is pure enterprise selling. Now your average deal size should be north of $100,000. Every year you're working on multiple 7-figure deals. You're working with Fortune 500 and above. And you can continue to progress in that. Eventually you can become a global enterprise rep where you own global accounts, something like a Google or an Apple or a Microsoft or Walmart, etc., where there's an opportunity to go and get 8-figure deals across those. So anyway, what I want reps to be thinking about is, if you're not just elevating your OTE, but also elevating the strategic nature of the deals that you're working, you limit your career opportunities. Get in there quickly, get into a transactional sale, cut your teeth in that area, transition into mid-market. Stay there and above from that point on in your career, you have more career opportunities. Then go into entry-level enterprise where you're working Fortune kind of 5,000 type companies that do $1 billion or more in revenue, and eventually into enterprise selling where you're truly selling big deals. You're always working 7-figure deals. You have small deals that are in the 6-figure range that you're working on. You're consistently working on those. Elevate your career by every 3 to 5 years, taking that next step up, and then never look back. Also, when you manage and you get your first management jobs, people are going to go look at what types of deals have you worked? What types of teams have you managed? Highly transactional is okay hiring somebody who's only sold mid-market as their manager. However, you're not going to get an enterprise-only job, and they shouldn't hire you because you only have experience in the knowledge and how to go work highly transactional deals. Anyway, I hope this helps. Hope you're able to go in and say, like, okay, as a rep, you've got to own your career and continue to work more and more strategic accounts. That doesn't mean working less. It means working more strategically within an account because that deal may represent 10 of those mid-market deals in the enterprise level. Have a great day.
And if you know someone earlier in their career who needs to hear this, send them this episode.
This podcast is brought to you by Database, your partner in building revenue teams that actually perform.